So welcome everybody, my name is Paul. I'm a country realtor out in the western part of Virginia, up near Waynesboro. And I talk a lot about homesteading because it's a favorite type of lifestyle for many people. And I love living in the country. And I want to talk a little bit more about the economics of homesteading. And basically the whole idea of our whole life is just to try to get the most out of it with the least possible cost and aggravation. And this is a really old concept that people around the world for thousands of years are trying to manage their lifestyle and their resources and so on and make a living. Now, there's a lot of videos out there talking about how to make money on the internet, and there's a lot of beautiful ways to do it. I'm a member of HipCamp, for example, and I was a photographer for a long time. Now I'm a realtor, and I do a lot of business using the internet. So there's a lot of videos out there about how to make money and live a little bit more efficiently. I like to talk about how to save money, because whenever you save money, you're effectively earning money. And I want to really tell people, young people especially, learn some skills. If you have property, for example, you need to know how it operates. Back in the old days, if you had a horse, you needed to know everything about the horse, what it eats and what it needs and all the stuff that the horse needs and how to manage it, because it's your livelihood. The horse does so many tasks for you, okay? So the same thing, nowadays we have these machines. We go out and mow our lawn and do our thing with our machine, and we park it in the garage and we forget about it. But that's not an effective way of managing, because someday that machine's going to need some repairs or maintenance, and you're going to have to call somebody up who's making like $50 an hour. Say, okay, yeah, we'll charge you $100 to bring it in here and give you an estimate, and that'll cost you $50 and so on. So I encourage people really urgently, learn some skills, learn how things manage, things how to work on your property. Basically know how the machines work. Many small engines are in tractors and garden machinery and so on, and they're really quite simple, and you can learn how to manage them without having to call somebody up to haul it off to the big Home Depot someplace and fix it for you. So there's a lot of other things. I'm a realtor and I see lots and lots of homes, and some people take really good care of their homes, okay? And they're knowledgeable. They've lived in there a long time, and they know, okay, we got a septic tank, we got a well, we got this and that. We got to know what's going on. We've been here for 40 years, okay? But on the other hand, if you move out in the country, you buy a home and you're a first-time buyer or something, or you're maybe, first time in the country, rural area, you're going to have things like, for example, trees. One day you'll wake up and a big huge limb off one of your trees falls down. What are you going to do? Or maybe your whole tree falls down. Then what are you going to do? You got to call somebody. Maybe if you had to put up for the guy and say, okay, I can't do everything, but I can get a bunch of firewood from this tree, and then you do the rest. Okay, so there's lots of ways to save money on a homestead. Okay, people have saved rocks, or just you happen to have good soil, you have great water on your property, or you have great sun, and you can do all kinds of things with planting things or having solar or whatever. You can grow hay or whatever. There's so many different options when you have a bigger property. And I'm not talking about a suburb. Sometimes there's suburbs that have like 2 acres and all that, and it's pretty much, you got 2 acres, but you got the homeowner association and all that stuff going on. I'm talking about the rural living where you have a septic and well and you're out there somewhere, and if the power goes out, you might be the last people to get restored, you see. And actually the tree might have fallen down right on a road near you. That happened to me one time. I was out for 4 days, and it was just a tree that happened on my own road, but the snow was so deep they couldn't get to it. So learn some skills, chainsaw, the tools, learn how those operate, and you can save yourself tons and tons of money plus aggravation. There's a real shortage of skilled people who know how to work on machinery. If you live in a suburb, there's many people like this. They live in a fancy suburb, they got a really great house, maybe it's $600,000 or $700,000, and they got it, okay, they got it covered, they make a good living and everything. But man, if they got a machine that breaks down, they got a problem. They don't know a damn thing about it, you see? Or same way with trees. So I really encourage, and especially, again, being a realtor, housing. Your home is your biggest investment, okay? And it might pass on to your grandchildren even. So find out everything about the property that you own. What are the boundaries? Is it a survey? Where's the well? Where's the septic? What has happened in the past? How long has it been since the roof's been replaced? Can I do certain things in my property? Can I clean the gutters? If you clean your gutters, for example, a simple problem. A lot of really basement flooding problems and drainage problems on property happen because people don't clean their gutters. The leaves come down year after year, and after a while those things get clogged, and people don't pay attention. The water goes down and doesn't know where to go, so it goes through the cracks in the basement and goes down there. You see, so if you understand how your property works, how things function, and get some really basic tools. I've said this in some of my other videos. Just get some basic tools, because so many of the problems are simple. I used to work for a big company, actually Xerox, and we were told that 80% of the problems caused were 20% of the things. And a lot of times they were simple. We'd go and someone had a paper jam, or some little paper roller wasn't feeding properly. Okay, replace that $2 roller thing and off you go. Okay, it's the time, and there's many things that homeowners can deal with and fix on their own, but they might be a little intimidated. Okay, so watch videos on YouTube, get some knowledge, have friends come over. There's many things, okay, like building a fence. I just was thinking about how in a homestead you might need a fence. Do you know that for centuries and centuries people built a fence without calling the local fence company? They just used logs on their property or stones or whatever, and they figured out really clever ways to stack the logs or the stones and keep their pigs in or whatever. And they didn't have a fencing company to call, see? And believe me, they'll charge you a lot of money if you want to install like 1,000 feet of fencing. That's a lot of money. Maybe it's even $10 a foot. That's a lot. So, again, there's so many things, and everybody has their own propensity. Some people do like animals and chickens and goats and so on. I'm an elderly guy, I'm 71, and I don't really want to have a bunch of goats and chickens that I got to feed and everything. I got a cat, that's enough for me right now. And maybe I'll get a dog someday. But it's just, there's other things that I can do as a homesteader that, we don't have to be all farmers, and you don't have to be someone who herds cattle and has 100 acres with 500 cows or something like that. We can all be somewhat functional in different ways. We have our own skills and abilities. Maybe you can build furniture. Maybe you're good at home air conditioning and that sort of thing. So there's different skills that someone might have that are really focused, and they might be expert, for example, at carpeting and framing or roofing or whatever, but they may not be a good gardener. Okay, well, you can learn a little bit about gardening and soil so that you don't have to be an expert farmer and spend your whole lifetime doing that, but you can certainly learn some skills of how to, plant your crops and so on. So again, multi-dimensional. People have a skill, and broad, and you have to be like a jack of all trades. Maybe not a master of all, but a typical farmer back in the 1930s or something. Okay, they had to fix their own tractor, and if the well pump went bad, maybe they'll find a friend who come down and do it, but they'll probably help do it and so on. And maybe they'll make their own fencing and so on. So there's a tremendous need now in this world for production of food. And when people produce food in their own space, it may not be enough to satisfy their whole year's needs of food, but by producing food locally, whether it's just eggs or herbs or tomatoes or something, you reduce that need for all that food to be grown somewhere else and farmed and everything and handled and shipped for long distance and put in a store. You see, so if you think of tomatoes, like, okay, let's say a tomato costs like $1.99 a pound, okay? Well, probably at least $1 a pound is just shipping and managing it and messing with it and harvesting and all that. It probably only costs like 25 cents a pound to grow the tomatoes, you see. So when you grow the tomatoes, you have fresher produce and fresher foods right in your own location. And if you have abundance, you can share and you can barter, you can trade off, you can help your family and so on. So again, I'm a realtor, but I'm a fan of the homesteading life, and I don't mean a big huge farm or everything and just do everything. I just mean more self-sufficiency, less reliance on the community, less reliance on the social system that we have and all the utilities and so on. Just maybe you do have city water, for example, okay, but that doesn't mean you can't have, if you have a big enough property, you might have a spike well on your property, or maybe you have some rain collection or something, and you do some gardening that way and irrigate your fields or something. But same way with electricity. If your electricity goes down, okay, maybe you don't have to have like a full-scale, total replacement solar unit on your house and so on. It costs you $30,000, but maybe you can have a $2,000 unit that'll manage you for a week or two, you know, just charging your things and keeping your refrigerator going and so on. So again, versatility, handyman, creativity, learn how things operate, learn how, whatever your thing is, if you're managing animals, learn about them. If you're managing crops, learn about them. You all have to manage your house and your structures on your building, on your property and so on. So I don't want to make these videos too long, but I really encourage, I want a message to young people. I'm 71 years old, okay? And I have children in their 30s and so on. And fortunately, one of them is really into gardening and so on, and he's done some things, great things, and the other one's also into outdoors and homesteading and so on, and he's become quite skilled and knowledgeable about soil. So, but a lot of the younger generation I see, they don't know how to do anything, they don't know how to fix anything, they don't know how their phone works. It's kind of scary in a way, you know. If we don't know how things work, when it breaks or something happens to it, then you're really screwed, especially if you don't have much money. You're going to have to pay a plumber like $500 or something to fix something that you could have taken care of for $50, you see. So again, it's an urgent request and addressed to young people and more just people who have been living a city life. Learn how things work, because you know, we can't be so isolated in our knowledge of how our life is that we just have one really specific skill. We go to work and we get paid really well, but we don't even know how our light switches work in our property, or how our TV or how the cable works or anything. So again, like and share. I hope you get something out of it, and I get a lot from them, and I like and share myself. So please, subscribe if you want. Come back and visit, and not every video that I make is going to be the best one that appeals to you, but there's many other videos. Check them out, and hope to hear from you. So